Hello, students. Welcome to the third episode of our CIP Project Welding. Before we proceed with our new lesson, let us try to refresh our previous one. I would like you to identify the reporting verbs in the following review of related literature. Let's have the first one. Considering the elastic recovery, Lafayette et al. In 2021 provided a solution for plowing friction of a conical tip. What is the reporting verb in this statement? If your answer is provided, you got it correct. Let's try another one. Swartz et al. In 2021 explain how welding fume particles may cause metal fume fever and perhaps more importantly manganese or chromium-related poisoning after inhalation and ingestion into the human body. What is the reporting verb in this statement? Good job! The correct answer is explained. Let's have the next one. Mahan in 2022 studied the effects of glass fiber reinforced polymer clay nanocomposites on mechanical properties. What is the reporting verb in this statement? Very good. The reporting verb in this statement is studied. Malcolm in 2019 examined the impact of sequencing practicums for welding on students' ability to perform a 1F or flat position fillet lap joint weld on low carbon steel. What is the reporting verb in this statement? Great! The correct answer is examined. Let's have the last one. Kokota et al. In 2017 proposed a new methodology for the detection of discontinuities in the weld bead applied in the shielded metal arc welding processes. What is the reporting verb in this statement? Excellent! The correct reporting verb in this statement is proposed. It appears that you already mastered the reporting verbs which are used when writing a review of related literature. This time, I want you to pay attention to the following statements. Sentence A. The SMAU students used the calamansi extract to remove the iron rust. Sentence B. Calamansi extract was used by the SMAU students to remove the iron rust. What did you observe in the following statements? How do they differ in terms of writing? Very good. As you can observe in the sentence A asserts that the subject, which is the SMAU students, performs the action represented by the verb, while sentence B indicates that the subject is the recipient of the verb's action. Now, let us further discuss the voice of the verbs. Voice is the property of a verb that indicates whether the subject performs the action or the subject receives the action. A sentence that starts in one voice usually continues in that voice. Let's take a look at each one. The first one is the active voice. A verb is in the active voice when the subject is the doer of the action indicated by the verb. In general, we should prefer the active voice to the passive voice because it is more vivid, more forceful, and more emphatic. In this example, the respondents utilized 2.5 millimeter electrode to the 1.5 millimeter plate. When a verb is changed from the active to the passive voice, there are three changes made. First, the object in the active voice becomes the subject in the passive voice. Second, the subject in the active voice becomes the object of the preposition. Usually, the preposition by in the passive voice. The verb in the active voice becomes a verb phrase composed of be plus the past participle of the main verb. Take a look at this example. The small students use an electric circuit to attach the steel bars. This is an example of an active voice, wherein the small students is the subject, used is the verb, an electric circuit is the direct object. An electric circuit was used by the small students to attach the steel bars. This is an example of a passive voice, wherein an electric circuit is the subject, was used is the verb, and the small students is the direct object. Remember that in writing a research paper, the introduction usually uses the active voice of the verb to show how strong your thesis statement is. Meanwhile, the passive voice of the verb is usually used when you are emphasizing the research design, population, sampling method, and data collection procedure employed in your study. Let us all pay attention to the following examples. For the chapter 1, the problem and its background, introduction, education deeply affects a person's success. It is believed that people who are educated are far better than those who did not finish schooling. Companies in the 20th century are looking for employees who are skilled and work for the company with full confidence. For these reasons, education curriculum includes vocational and technological courses for students to learn. The thesis statement in the introduction, which is education deeply affects a person's success, uses an active voice of the verb. Now here is an example of the sampling method, also known as the sample of the study. The study used non-probability sampling, specifically purposive sampling. This sampling method chooses samples based on the expert's opinion. In the study, only 211 STEM students out of the 1,043 senior high school students at School X are purposely chosen, but only 175 cooperated and agreed to be the participants in the study. The STEM students were selected as they have been identified as students who need intervention to improve their academic performance in school. It was done so that a proposed continuous improvement project will be specifically made for the students who need remediation. Students from other stands are not included in the study because they do not need any remediation anymore. In the sample of the study, it uses passive voice of the verb to highlight the number of participants more clearly. These are purposely chosen, were selected, was done, and are not included. Now, let us check whether you can identify the voice of the verbs. You comment on the chat box if the statement is using active or passive voice. Let's have the first one. The trainer gave us techniques on how to use the welding machine more safely. Is it active or passive voice? Very good. This statement is in the active voice. Let's have the next one. The electrode lead cable, electrode lead holder, and leads were distributed by the assessor during the national assessment. Tell whether it is passive or active voice. Good job! This statement is in the passive voice. The small trainee accidentally threw the lead on the floor, which is why he failed the practical exam. Is it in the passive or active voice? Very good. This statement is in the active voice. The National Training Program for Small Students was released by the TESDA. Excellent. This statement is in the passive voice. John was given a chance to perform the small practical exam in less than an hour by his teacher. Is this in an active or passive voice? Very good. This statement is in the passive voice. Great job, small students. This time, I want you to write the passive form of the verbs inside the parentheses. Please utilize the chat box. Let's have the first one. The data gathered confidential by the researchers. Our verb here is keep. What is the passive form of this verb? Very good. The correct verb is was kept. The data gathered was kept confidential by the researchers. Next sentence. The grade 12 small section of 21 males and 3 females. The verb here is compose. Good job. The correct verb is was composed. The grade 12 small section was composed of 21 males and 3 females. The students give a chance to finish chapter 3 by the research advisor. Our verb here is give. Very good. The correct verb is were given. The students were given a chance to finish chapter 3 by their research advisor. Let's have the next one. The new welders, our verb is praised by their coach. Very good. The correct verb is were praised. The new welders were praised by their coach. Next sentence. The newly built foldable metal footbridge, the verb is to weld by small students. Our verb is weld. Excellent. Our correct verb is was welded. The newly built foldable metal footbridge was welded by small students. Congratulations, you did all great. You may now proceed to our last task, and that is to write your research design, population sampling method, and data collection procedure. Do not forget to utilize the active and passive voice of the verbs correctly. Please do not forget to consult your research teacher for the content of your research paper. Thank you so much for listening. See you next week. Goodbye.